It's a great joy for me to recall the events of the past 25 years since my graduation from the University of Wilderness on the 30th of June 1998. Sometimes I like to call it the University of Teardrops because of the many sweats and tears I shed along the way. Nowadays, I just call it the University of Apala. Australians like to call it the University of Hard Knocks, but whatever name you call it, it's the best university of learning that has moved the world forward since time immemorial. On that day, I bought some roasted chicken and fried chips from Big Rooster Coffee, Port Moresby, and celebrated my graduation with my own family. Everyone seemed curious and asked me what I was graduating from. My Bougainville talks and friends heard about my graduation and laughed away, mocking and ridiculing as usual. They say, where does he study? There's no graduation taking place at the University of Papua New Guinea this month or this week. What's all this? No one ever graduated on the streets. Even my own brother, late Custom K. Mishak, who just arrived from Bougainville the previous day, asked me what I was graduating from. And I explained to him in detail, and he understood and encouraged me even more. Exactly 8 days later, on the 8th of July 1998, I practically launched the mighty UVistract system. The rest is history, which you all know about. That was my first graduation. My second graduation and third graduations were both conducted here at Tono headquarters on 30th of June 2016 and 30th of June 2018, respectively. That's how the 30th of June came to be captured in our system as the UV graduation date. Even the conduct of our world famous 30 graduation ceremonies between 2020 and 2021 for our multi-millionaires and billionaires had to follow the same dates and timings. The first graduation was conducted on 30th of June 2020 in commemoration of the importance of the date. The power and authority. Let me very quickly remind us that the system we established over the past 25 years has now reached a very powerful stage of delivery. And just as expected, the Serpentine system too has reached its elastic limit. It cannot continue anymore but to collapse only while we continue our delivery. In case you are not aware, the moment we launched our sovereign system in 1998, the same moment the Serpentine system started collapsing. The rate at which it collapses is directly proportional to our progress. The faster we move, the faster it collapses. You'll see the collapse of the Serpentine system depends on how fast we take over. Therefore, when you return to your respective districts, provinces, and countries in the coming days, go in total confidence, knowing that the law of nature will always be in your favor. The universe is in your favor. All creation has been placed in your favor. Divine power and authority will forever be in your favor. Of course, my part is to empower you with power of money. As graduate millionaires and billionaires, you are returning home with such an enormous amount of financial power in your hands. I'm sending you back home because you have now fulfilled all criteria and qualified to rule and reign with me in the kingdom, government and system of heaven. I guarantee you that no one, no government, no whatsoever will stop you from transforming the world according to your given mandates and responsibilities. Some are responsible for your own villages, districts, provinces, and countries, while others are responsible for bigger regions, territories, and continents. Therefore, do not worry about the collapsing Serpentine system. Let it collapse on its own while we are busy conducting our payouts. In some countries, the Serpentine system might want you to be registered under the government system before conducting your payout program. Example, in PNG, they might want you to be registered and licensed under the IPA and Central Bank of PNG to be recognized by its legal system, etc. These little technicalities don't bother you anymore. we are not here to fit into the Serpentine system. We are here to transform the entire system upside down and downside up. Of course, wisdom is important. If you feel it's necessary to be recognized by the legal system before launching your payouts, go ahead and register. I won't stop you. However, from my throne, I would say we don't have enough time to play around. We have an emergency we need to address quickly. We are going to the countries to simply override, overrule, and conduct our payouts to our waiting clients, investors, governments, etc. There's no law and order under the sun and moon that can stop us from conducting our payouts. As the Serpentine system collapses before our eyes, the countries are now caught up in all kinds of problems. For instance, in PNG is now under receivership with the debt of about 60 billion PNG Kenya. IMF has now declared the country bankrupt. There is now very high inflation, unemployment, homeless, street beggars, etc. Even the government itself is now engulfed in very high level of corruption. In less than 2 months from now, there is likely going to be a devaluation of the currency by another 20%. The answer solution is with us. You are going back to your countries with the answer or solution in your hands. Recognition or no recognition, registration or no registration, license or no license, I've already empowered and authorized you from the throne room. I'm putting the answer or solution at your fingertips. 94-95 student protest. Let me quickly take you back to an event that took place about 30 years ago. The economic crisis in the 1990s caused the first ever economic crisis in PNG's history. As a result, the PNG government requested the twin monsters of World Bank and IMF for urgent help. The monsters arrived in 1994 and 95 and set up offices at Islander Hotel in Waigani with the country manager, then known as Dr. Hamidin Red from Italy. As the twin monsters started imposing the structural adjustment program, students of PNG began protesting against some 57 or so conditions. In one of the protest marches, the students demanded Dr. Hamidin Red and his staff to immediately pack up and leave the shores of Papua New Guinea. The response from Dr. Hamidin Red was, if I pack up and return home tomorrow according to your demand, tell me who is going to pay for your tuition fees, scholarships, textbooks, hospitals, infrastructure development, electricity, telecommunications, etc. If you have another financier on standby ready to step in and finance your country when I go, let me know and I will leave immediately, unquote. Various student leaders were given the opportunity to respond, but none of these responses was satisfactory. Everything they said was mere hot air. They had no answer and no solution whatsoever. However, the final response came from the National Union of Students General Secretary, Noah Musiko. He said, quote, I have the solution you are asking for, but I can't explain it to you in 5 minutes. I will set up the alternate system in the coming days, weeks, years, and show it to you in the real world. Don't underestimate us. This is the land of the unexpected. You may mock us today, but tomorrow we will triumph and prove you wrong, unquote. The students then clapped their hands with joy of applause and returned to the campus satisfied. Thus, a new idea for freeing our nation from foreign financial control, stranglehold of the World Bank and IMF was birthed in the forums and lecture rooms of the university. 3 years later, in 1998, the PNG NUS General Secretary Noah Musiko launched the mighty UVistract system on the streets of Boroko. His first 2 clients were his own best friends, his own cousin brother, Kweli Solomon, and his outgoing PNG NUS President, Matthew Parek from Enga Province. Then everyone on the streets and squatter settlements rushed in to join up, followed by the masses from all levels of and strata of life. The rest is history, which you are all now part of. Talking is cheap, action is costly. I share the above testimony so you can see how and where the original idea of finding an alternate international financial system came from. It coincided with our own Bougainville revolution, because without a revolution, we can't possibly do what we have done. The point I'm trying to make here is that the above student protests against the twin monsters of World Bank and IMF happened about 30 years ago. Yet the people of PNG still have not found the alternative solution or system yet. 30 years is too long. Talking is cheap, protesting is cheap, complaining is cheap. We must establish something real, visible and tangible to match, equalize and replace what we protest against. There's no point complaining about something unless you have the answer or solution for it. Recently, I watched a few videos of our fellow African leaders complaining about the IMF, etc. Actually, for some time, there's been massive awareness going around the African continent, and I really admire how eloquent they have become in describing all forms of foreign control. However, as said above, talking is cheap. We must do something real, practical, visible, and tangible. Just like PNG, African leaders might keep complaining about the IMF, the Fed, the US dollar, etc., for another 30 years or so. Again, the point I'm trying to stress here is that we now have a fully grown alternative international system in place and ready. And it's already operational here at headquarters through its economic payout program. That's why I'm sending you back home now to your respective provinces and countries in the region so you can start taking back the economies from the stranglehold of the IMF and give it back to your citizens. The economic payout is designed to take back the economy from the IMF and give it to the indigenous or naturalized citizens. In other words, we are not just talking, protesting, or making eloquent speeches. No, we are doing something that is real and tangible. Although it has taken us a couple of decades to complete, the most important thing is that we have finally arrived home. A three-pronged strategy. I've said many times, and I'll say it again now, it's not possible to challenge the IMF financial stranglehold by merely talking eloquently about it. After the crisis or civil war, Bougainville Mekamui split up into two factions, ABG and Mekamui. Just as the split was happening, a third faction called UVistract came on the scene. Today we have a mysterious three-pronged strategy that has worked wonders in confusing the enemy while our sovereign system is being established. The serpent is said to be very cunning and wise. His wisdom surpasses all living creatures in the field. However, the only thing he cannot understand is the mysteries of God, the mysteries of the kingdom. That's why I'm so glad with how we came out of the crisis with a three-pronged strategy to establish the kingdom of Opala, or kingdom of heaven here on earth. Looking back now, just after the first crisis in 1975, Bougainvilleans employed a single or one-pronged government strategy. That's why after the UDI, when the entire leadership surrendered to PNG for basic services, there was no other government left on the island to keep fighting for independence. That's how we lost our first fight for independence forever until the second crisis or UDI came to be. Now, after the second crisis in the 1990s, Bougainvilleans employed a two-pronged, double-edged sword in the fight for independence from PNG. That's why when half of the population surrendered to PNG and formed the ABG, the other half remained large under the Mekamui to keep the fire burning. That's why this time PNG could not extinguish our independence struggle as they did in 1975. And just to put the icing on the cake, a third strategy was employed under UVistract to keep the fight going under the concepts of twin kingdom and triumph government. In this way, we extended our fight from mere independence to sovereignty and civilization. As you know, independence is by Quran and sovereignty is by proclamation. I'm just explaining the mysteries of a three-pronged strategy because it enabled us to win our war of freedom, independence, sovereignty, and civilization forever. That's why one of my major responsibilities as king and emperor has always been the power of mediation. I have a universal mandate as mediator between ABG and Megamoy or any other authority in our process of reconstruction, reconciliation and unification at the end of the day. It's so great and wonderful to have finally won not only the battle but also the war. And I repeat, we won it because this time around we are wise enough to split into 2 to 3 governments and continue the fight from 2 to 3 powerful angles of dimensions. This strategy confused the enemy forever and enabled us to win the war forever. Thank you. Sun and moon no longer shining. Finally, as I come to conclude my speech today, let me remind us that there is no answer, no solution for us somewhere in the sky, no overseas in the USA, Europe, World Bank, IMF, UN, China, Israel, Middle East, Africa, Asia, etc. The answer, solution is right here on our own sovereign Megamoy Island. Therefore, I urge ABG to stop begging. I urge ABG to stop begging PNG for independence and just come and join forces with the Twin Kingdom. The answer, solution is right here, within ourselves, around us, and inside us. The sun and moon are no longer shining lights for us. Our colonizers are no longer have the answers and solutions for us. All they can offer us is huge unemployment, homelessness, drugs, abuse, beer, drunkenness, etc., etc. The other things they offer the world today is what they now call same-sex marriage, homosexuality, lesbianism, bestiality, etc., or whatever what they call LGBTQ and so on. And they are pushing the LGBTQ agendas down the throats of many African and third world nations. Therefore, stop looking to the north, south, east, southwest, or whatever, or wherever. Let us look within ourselves because the answer or solution is right here within ourselves. Summary. My speech today will be very short. Therefore, I'd like to summarize it now. Firstly, let me remind us again that today is only our graduation memorial day. The initial arrangement was to have our farewell feast tomorrow, Saturday, for our governors from PNG and West Papua. However, this has now changed, and today we are only having our graduation memorial speech. We will have our farewell feast during the week around the 1st of Jasper, which is only 5 or 6 days from now. Remember that every month in our calendar has 30 days except for the month of Amethyst or June, which has 35 or 36 days in a leap year. After the farewell feast, Kai, we will let them go with full hands and big funds will be in their fingertips. And by the 8th of Jasper, which is equivalent to the 13th of July of the Gregorian calendar, they will all have already been back in their respective provinces and countries doing their own awareness programs under the economic payout program and others. At least by the beginning of our 40 days and 40 nights program, they will all have been back already in their respective provinces and countries. And by or before the end of the 40 days, 40 nights, I would expect those conducting economic payouts to return to Tonu headquarters as arranged. Extension of economic payout. You all know the success of our economic payout currently going on here at headquarters. We kicked off on the 2nd of Turkish or 3rd of May 2 months ago from the most basic economic level called market economy. And in order for our citizens to learn the ropes of business, we had to start them off from as low as 100 Kenya, PNG, etc. According to weekly reports provided by the central bank, within a matter of 2 months, only the amount of foreign currency PNG circulating in our system has now reached more than 100,000 Kina. This money is banked by those in the market economy, which is the most basic economic level we are financing under the program. All we did was to give them 100 Kina each, and they used the market economic skills to raise in our funds and kept using our banks for all the transactions. And since it's already successful here at headquarters, we will now extend it to PNG, West Papua, SI, and the rest of Malaysia, Pacific Islands, and so on that way. The banking system. As you all know, our banks, IBOM and Combank, are no longer investment banks as before. They are now fully fledged commercial banks serving our citizens, clients, investors, and general public, just as BSP, ANZ, Kenya, Westpac, etc. That's why over the past 2 months, we've seen many locals coming and opening business accounts in foreign currency, PNG, and engaging in normal commercial transactions on a daily basis. Account opening deposits in foreign currency can be as low as 10 Kina, 20 Kina, just like BSP. In other words, people are beginning to put their faith, trust, and confidence in our banks, just as they do with BSP, ANZ, Kina, Westpac, HSBC, Citibank, Deutsche Bank, etc. They know that whatever monies they deposit today is safe and sound and will be here until they themselves decide to withdraw it at their own timing and convenience. Together with this speech today begins from 1,000 Kina and goes up to 10,000 Kina. Therefore, the next level, thereafter, the next level will be from 10,000 to 100,000, and then from 100,000 to 1 million, and so on that way. Repayment for such amounts is done monthly for a period of 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, and so on, depending on the capability of the client. And we will assist the client in every way from all angles until he or she repays all of it. Under this level of funding, my forecast is that in just a matter of few weeks, the amount of foreign currency PNG circulating in our system will reach the heights of several millions. And I can see that in another few months, all the foreign currency PNG Kina circulating in Bougainville will come into our system. A similar scenario to 98-99, where all the PNG Kina cash was withdrawn from the banks and deposited into UVistract. BSP and PNGBC used to come asking for cash from our agents in Buka and Madang, etc. As you already know, at the moment, all the business houses on Bougainville exclusively support the IMF financial control system and structure. All the banking transactions is done by BSP, which in turn is controlled by Central Bank of PNG, which in turn is controlled by the IMF. Likewise, all the tax is paid to ABG, which in turn pays it to the government of PNG, which in turn pays it to the IMF. However, now as more businesses begin to use our sovereign banks, Bougainvilleans will begin to realize the true freedom, independence, and sovereignty and civilization as a people and nation. This is where everything boils down to at the end of the day. I'm just sharing these thoughts with you so you can start planning and doing business via our sovereign banks if you have not done so yet. And we are listening from on the YouTube. Since everything is now normal, you can open 1 or 2 accounts in foreign currency just like everybody else is doing now. More importantly, for those ready to come and set up businesses here at the Tonu Commercial Center, we are ready to welcome you. You can be rest assured that Tonu Commercial Center is a tax haven place for you. The government will not charge you anything. Instead, we will assist you in every way so you can set up and become successful businessmen or businesswomen. BBK currency. In case you might be wondering what has become of our sovereign BBK currency. At the moment, BBK is only being used as collateral or security for securing loans or other forms of funding from the system. In the event our client fails to repay his loan, we will take it out from his collateral. However, we strongly encourage everyone to repay according to the rates provided. There's a time coming when our BBK funds will be accessible directly via online banking, mobile banking, ATMs, FPOS, etc., etc. Our software engineers are still working on it. We'll let you know when completed and ready. Okay, the good news. Finally, in conclusion, let me say that I have very good news for you all. I have been doing some clearance work on some of my funds at local, national, and international levels. The good news is that the first batch of funds are now ready for release. I will be releasing it for funding of our trade stores and shops, including PMA applications and all other outstanding payments, including priority payments, clearance fees, payments, and many others. I want to assure you that after this release, we will never ever come short of funds again. We will always have funds available in our system whenever we need it. The painful journey we followed has taught us enough lessons to learn from. That's why I'm giving 1 week only to our PNG and West Papua governors after my speech today. Within the week, I will release everything I promised to give you so you can return home and extend our system to your respective provinces and countries. As said about before, or by the 8th of Jasper, or equivalent to 30th July of the Gregorian, I want you to be with your families celebrating our 40 days, 40 nights program. And if possible, return home to Tonlu before the end of the 40 days, 40 nights. I think that's all I need to share with you for today. Let me now conclude my short speech. Please use your last and final week at Tonlu headquarters properly. Make sure that all your accounts and records in IBOM and Combank are okay before leaving. Make sure that you won't regret leaving Tonlu too early without sorting out your accounts. The next time you come to Tonlu might be different. You know that our payout is going to lift Tonlu to another level of business and governance. You could see international people doing business here who might not give you enough time or space to sort out your accounts. That's why I'm reminding you to make use of this last and final week in Tonlu. Thank you.